Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lulu Story podcast, where style meets soul, a place to inspire you on your journey of becoming and self expression. Through conversations with inspiring women, we will uncover what it is to truly show up as ourselves and the tricks and tips to build a wardrobe and style you love so you can feel at peace in your skin, be visible, and thrive as yourself. And on today's call, I am very excited to invite Fiona. Hi, Fiona. How
Hi,
are you?
I'm good, thanks. Very good.
Fantastic. It's amazing. I mean, we chat all the time. You and I work together. You are one of my clients, and we have been on quite the journey together. And when we were chatting recently, and I think it was inspired by your amazing kind of new venture into sharing your style journey, that I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, I have to get you on. So, first of all, congratulations on the new Instagram. It's so exciting. How are you finding that?
Oh God, lots of different things. I'm finding it exciting. I'm really pleased I've started it, but also a bit daunting because there's so much content out there, and I sort of think, why is anyone going to be interested in what I've got to post? But I spent a lot of time thinking about whether or not I should do that, and I feel that there's so I find it overwhelming sometimes, the amount that's out there. And so I thought that perhaps one of the reasons I was really keen to do it is, people like me who are just perfectly ordinary but keen in fashion. What I see on Instagram can feel so out of reach.
Yeah.
The whole reason I wanted to do this was someone who's like me, who's interested in fashion, doesn't have a huge amount of time, and just showing them how far I've come and the lessons that I've learned. Hopefully that's of interest. And then also a little bit selfishly for myself, because I feel, whereas when we were working together very closely, I sort of felt that sense of needing to show up and show you what I was doing. And I feel that it then sort of pushes me as well, because I'm thinking, oh, what could I post? What could I do? And like when we've done things where you sort of said, how about you try and, make an outfit with this? I feel like it's a sort of challenge to myself and hopefully a way to push myself forward as well. And yeah, to share some of the tips and all the things that you've taught me. And so that's the reason I wanted to do it.
I mean, it's amazing. It's really sparked, hasn't it? Some kind of reflective time between the two of us of what journey you have been on. And I love that you are such an ambitious person and you are somebody that craves that kind of sense of growth and moving forward. I love that you kind of always put yourself in slightly kind of pressurized situations so that you
I think I thrive better under pressure. I think like
yeah.
when my back's up against the wall, that's when I have my best ideas. I think in terms of myself from a business perspective, the things that I've pivoted best at is when I've been in situations of high pressure. I quite sort of like it in a way. And so yeah, I think it brings out the best in me rather than the worst.
And tell us a little bit about what you need your clothes to support you, a little bit about what your life is actually like so people can get a sense of why you came to me and why style has become such an important part of your life.
Yeah, sure. I set up a financial services business when I was 27, and it was a very sort of male, and still is a very male dominated environment. And so I think I've always focused so much of my energy on what I'm wearing at work or in business. And I then spent very little time ever thinking about what I was wearing outside of work. And certainly not in terms of like working out or dog walking. I mean, they were like so far down the list of priorities. So I put sort of all my money, effort, energy into what I look like at work. And even when I first met you and we were talking about it, I very much focused on sort of my work wardrobe, and everything else was sort of very much of an afterthought.
Mm.
I think that in terms of my life, what was really useful was when we were looking at that sort of pie chart together and thinking, well, what have I got in my wardrobe in terms of work wear, casual wear, gym wear, holiday, whatever it might be, all the different things that I need it to do. How much of my time do I spend doing those things? And it was so disproportionate. And I felt that also my work wardrobe was my work wardrobe. I never wore anything that I had in my work wardrobe out of work time. Like nothing was interchangeable. And I
Yeah.
quite liked that because I was like, oh, great, that's my work stuff. But now I just think, what an absolute waste that you'd have sort of 3/4 of your wardrobe, which mine probably was, which I then wasn't ever wearing. And so I might have felt good and put together for like my work day or my work trip. But then I felt an absolute mess on the weekend, or I didn't feel I could do casual very well. I didn't know how to do that. And it's really interesting because as we've progressed, I don't really feel I do the very ultra business style. I don't really like that anymore. I much prefer a casual. I feel that my business attire is much more casual and modern. and I felt really uncomfortable in casual clothes. Altogether, I didn't really feel that I could do that. I didn't know how to do it. So sorry, I've spent it was a long answer to the question.
No, it's perfect. I mean, I think it's so fascinating. I think many people will see themselves. I mean, so often, I mean, 95% of people that come to me are motivated by their work wardrobe, and that's what will s- be the thing that makes them go, right, I need the help and I can justify it. You know,
Yeah,
very rarely does someone come to me and justify, you know, what they're wearing at the weekends as the reason
yeah,
for working with me. But within weeks of working, it always filters out because ultimately, when we start to feel like ourselves and feel better, we're like, well, I don't want to feel good in like 3, 4 days a week and
yeah.
crap the rest.
That's what I was just about to say. So when you sort of have that and you achieve that and you see what that feels like in a work environment, you want to feel like that in your pajamas. You want to feel like that when you're walking the dog. It's
Yeah.
such a huge difference to how you feel that you're then like, right, well, couldn't I sort of apply these same and feel just as good in all those other areas? And I've really
Mm,
noticed what a difference that makes. Even like talking to my daughter who loves exercising, and she was talking to me about the fact that I spend a lot of money on exercise stuff, and how I love it all coordinating and being really nice quality and everything. She's like, wow, you really love investing in that. And I said, I know, because it helps motivate me. I want to feel good when I'm working out. But before, when I first met you, I'd literally wear like an old t-shirt, and like I'd never want anyone to ever see me in it. I looked awful. And the same with like dog walking. It's amazing how in every single part of my life now, from pajamas to dog walking to whatever, I want to feel good. And why wouldn't you? Why
yeah.
are we like sort of doing it in a very small part of our lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I have got I mean, I don't have quite the travel that you have. I mean, you're off to France a lot, you know, your business takes you all over Europe, and which is obviously another pressure that the
Yeah.
wardrobe has to withstand and was a you know, I think it's been really interesting working with you over the last few years because as your career has grown and those pressures have increased, you know, your public persona and how you show up in these environments in, you know, in Europe has really put an extra pressure on what you need your wardrobe to do.
Absolutely. Partly because I'm traveling to different locations which are quite different weather-wise to what we are.
Yeah.
So I need it to work in much hotter environments and much colder environments, because I go to the Alps a lot and Côte d'Azur. And then equally, I feel that because most of my travel is France, there's no doubt that that element of how chic French women are, sorry, and how they just seem to make it so effortless. That's always been really intriguing to me. I've been really curious, like, what is their magic formula? Why don't we have that? What do we do differently? I really look at them quite intensely. They don't wear much makeup. What is it about how they do it that what and the other thing I love about it is the age. It's not a scenario where everybody in France looks good age 20. It's every age. Everybody that I'm coming into contact with in my environment looks great. And so I feel as well that that sort of steps up the pressure, and it made me really think. I remember when we first started sort of working together and really loving French brands. I don't necessarily want to copy them or do what they're doing. I want to do it in my own way, but they just have a great sense of natural chicness and how they achieve that. And I feel that that's also meant that I want to up my game in that scenario, because I need to be taken seriously by these people. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing it in my way.
And what do you think now that you have more information, knowledge, and confidence? What do you think? What is your reflection? What do you think they do?
That's an interesting one. So I think that I feel that they're not necessarily as polished as we look in the sense of makeup. I think in the UK we wear a lot more makeup than they do there. Often it's a very sort of bare. I'll often go to a meeting with someone with no makeup, which I hardly ever do in London. I think that they tend to have some quite big statement jewellery. I think that often their jewellery looks pretty good. They're well groomed, so they're polished, but there's an effortless sort of sexiness to it as well. It's not
Mm,
so um it's not so polished as we see women here and them all looking the same. I also think that they invest in real quality pieces. They don't seem to sort of chase fashion trends like we all do here. They dress for their own shape or their own what they're needing in the day. They're not all wearing the same things. They're quite happy to be different. They've worked out what's good for them, and I feel they invest in quality items. So they'd
yeah.
have really nice cashmere jumper or a silk shirt or a great cut of trouser or a lovely handbag. The pieces are fairly minimal as well in terms of, I wouldn't say they use lots of bold prints. There's definitely a real sense of sexiness. They'll use print quite a lot, I think. And the way, yeah, I just think they'd wear a shirt much more battened down perhaps than we would. Um, there's a sense
I
of,
think you nailed it with when you were saying about they are up for investing in quality, or they at least know quality, so they can be, even if they're in Zara or I don't know, in
yeah,
vintage, they can spot it.
yeah,
And I think there's
absolutely.
more education. Do you feel like we need to shift? When before starting to work with me, did you feel like fashion was a frivolous thing? Like, what was the background coming into working with me?
Yeah, I never thought it was frivolous. So my mum's always loved fashion, and I would
Mm.
say she shops. She'll buy. She's always invested in clothes and nice clothes, and she always looks amazing. And so I found that quite difficult because she made it look very effortless. She always looks, and she's really good at putting things together. She knows what suits her. So I didn't feel it was frivolous because she had really shown me that it was worth investing in. What I found was I felt like I was looking from the outside. I felt like it was something that I really wanted to do, and I couldn't work out why I couldn't do it. Because one of the lessons she really taught me when I was young is you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. But I couldn't. I couldn't work out what I was doing. And sometimes I'd get it right, but I couldn't work out why. And that's what I found when I was looking at people on Instagram is I'd be like, that looks great. If I copy it, why doesn't it look good on me? What is it? And is it their proportions? Is it, I don't know, but why can't I copy an outfit and it look the same on me? And it doesn't. And I tried that, I looked at other people I admired or people I saw and I was like, that looks cool, right? Why don't I copy that? And I'd put it on, I'd be like, oh my God, I look horrendous. And so I felt like I was sort of looking from the outside in, really wanting to make it work, perhaps a bit too hard, and just not managing it, not working out what was wrong. And I think part of the thing was I wasn't listening well enough to what I liked. I was so caught up with what other people might think, or what I should be doing, or what I should be investing in, what should be the right thing to wear in that scenario, that I wasn't strong enough at listening to what I really liked. And I think I'm
Mm.
quite a personality. I don't think I sit on the fence much. I know what I like or not. So I found that weird because I don't dither about things that I like. I'm sort of quite strong in that way, but I couldn't seem to connect to what I liked. And it took quite a lot of work with you to really get to the bottom of if I actually listen. You don't need to tell me what colours suit me. If I actually listen and tune in rather than tuning that out, I know what I like. But it was having the confidence to be like, well, what would Lulu think if I said I wanted a whole pink outfit? Like, would she think I was so caught up in what people would think that I didn't give that voice because I was just too worried about being judged, I think.
Hi everyone, it is Lulu's Story, and I hope you're enjoying this episode. I just wanted to jump on and say that I am a style coach working with women every day to help them understand themselves better, to reclaim their identity and know how to step forward into their lives with confidence, clarity. And if you're struggling, please don't struggle any further. Get in touch. I have availability for style words consultations, and I have a waiting list for one-to-one client work. So if you'd like to join that waiting list, then do check out the show notes below and we can add you to that and book in a call as and when I have availability. All right, back to the show.
A little bit about the relationship with clothes when you were younger and you were first in that professional environment.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one. So when I was first in that, I've always really worked. I was desperate to work as soon as I possibly could earn any money. So I had loads of different jobs and I loved the office environment. I always wanted to work in an office. I watched a lot of Ally McBeal, had a great idea of like, oh my God, how cool. I was always really interested in what people were wearing in an office environment as much as anything. So I loved watching Suits just to watch like the outfits really. So I was desperate to be in an office environment and have the money to be able to wear those clothes. And I worked the whole way through my degree in a law firm. So I sort of worked virtually full time while I was a student. I was very conscious about what I was wearing in that environment. And my mum was very sort of supportive and was very much like, you've got to dress for the part. So let me help you with that. And I lived in Madrid between school and university. And that's where I discovered Zara. and Mango, I couldn't get over the cost of the clothes. So I was really like, wow, I can actually buy things that I would like to wear of quality that I'd never seen in the UK. And the
Mm.
difference was how quickly the fashion was turning. So it wasn't as if I was going to buy something that would be the only thing in the whole shop for the whole season, like it would be in French Connection or Warehouse, which is what I was sort of probably shopping at here, or potentially even Topshop. But no one else would then be wearing it because it'd be gone as quickly as it come in. I was really intrigued by their whole business model and how it worked, and being around Spanish people and looking at how differently they dress to us. It's one of my really things that I enjoyed most about living there, was really looking at the fashion and the style. So when I discovered that, I was really like, wow, well, actually, I could afford that. My mum was very sort of, I remember even when I wasn't living in Madrid anymore, I'd fly over to Spain on holiday, and I would specifically like set myself up with my next work wardrobe. I'd go and buy like a whole load of stuff. I really loved it. And so I was really aware of what I looked like in the office because I was very young, and I wanted to make sure I sort of looked professional. And that continued. So as I continued to start working, and then I set the business up at 27. Before I set the business up, I was working in a very male environment, and I was a manager at a very high level. And everybody else on the sort of management team was 20 years my senior, all male. I was the only female there, and I was so much younger than everybody else. And everybody I was managing virtually was older than me, and quite a lot older. So I was in my 20s and they were in their 40s. And so I felt that what I wear was such a huge part of feeling accepted, and I think I very much clung on to that. So I wouldn't necessarily wear a trouser suit because I was aware of sort of feeling feminine in a male environment. So I perhaps would wear skirts, but nothing that was that comfortable. So I may have sort of worn like a pencil skirt, or I probably
Yeah.
wore heels. I was so keen for the clothes to sort of be accepted and just sort of meld into the background, even though that's not my personality at all. But I was so concerned about them feeling I was not shouldn't be there, or I was too young, or my opinion. And I felt that the clothes would sort of help me hide that sort of past me that I was nervous of. I was fine talking up in that environment. I had no worries at all about being there. That I wasn't concerned about. I wasn't nervous about that. But what I was wearing didn't reflect that confidence in a way. That was sort of where the concerns and the fears were really being shown, not in my voice, but in my clothes.
Yeah. I think, understanding that clothes at different points in your life are going to be armor, and then other points they're going to be, a cuddle, and then sometimes they're going to be a real, sense of expression. And I think just even hearing you, that kind of journey of like in your 20s of like, I just need to fit in, I just need to find a sense of belonging, and to find that I'm going to make sure I've got the uniform down. I think in the world that we're living in now, people are working from home more, they're not going into offices in the same way. And so therefore, maybe the journey of knowing yourself has to start a little bit sooner,
Absolutely.
because there isn't that same uniform. But it's really interesting to hear that that's kind of the background you had.
Yeah.
When we started, first, I want to take us to kind of like our journey together of working together. Do you remember a piece of advice that maybe you could share with others that first, like, I don't know, clicked, that made style start to be something that you could kind of have ownership over, or made helped you make sense of yourself or your body?
There's so many, it's really actually quite hard to choose because I feel there were so many big lessons that I learned, and so many of those are eureka moments when you sort of told me something. And sometimes you tell me something, it take a few weeks or days to sink in, and I'd really like perhaps come back to you and be like, oh, it's really worked. But I think the main one, which is so simple, and we sort of started with it, is to be wearing things you like, not to be dressing for anyone else, not to be dressing for what you think others think you should be wearing. Actually, to be choosing stuff that you like. You'd say, "Do you like this?" And I'd sort of be nervous to say, "Did I or not?" And I think that that was the most valuable lesson. I still really have to ground myself with it when I'm looking at things. Should this look cool? Does this look good on someone else? No, it's about, do I like it? Fundamentally, does it look good on me? Do I like it? And I really have to keep bringing myself back even now to that. And I think I've got such a strong sense of what I like. So I struggle with that, the fact that I struggle with it. But I think that has been the most valuable lesson. But I'd love to share a few others. So that was like my
Yeah, go for it.
but other one is about clothes working for all seasons. So I remember you sort of saying, well, yeah, you could buy this, that would work in the summer, and then in the winter you could have it as a layer. And I was like, what? That's not summer wardrobe and winter wardrobe. My mum taught me that at the end of the summer, everything got packed up, vacuum packed, away it went. You got your winter wardrobe out. I love that sense of feeling like you've got new things coming back out. So I do like that. But because I travel a lot as well, I actually found it really useful that you encouraged me not to do that and to
Yeah.
have everything there, and actually to be wearing like a cami in winter as a layer, and to be making sure that the things I was choosing and investing in, I could use for lots of different occasions. I so sort
Mm.
of pigeonhole something into, oh, well, that's my going out outfit or that's my work outfit. And I just wasn't interchangeable enough. And then the other thing I think is to invest in the things I'm going to wear every day. So the old fashioned me, and I think lots of people do this, they'll spend a lots of money on, let's say, a black tie dress or a very smart winter coat or some really cool boots that they maybe wear on a date night or out with their friends. But they're not investing in the stuff that they wear every day. So now, like, I will invest in a really nice pair of jeans because I wear jeans. I love jeans and I wear them nearly every day. So I'm putting my money on the stuff that I'm wearing every day, and I probably don't spend as much. In fact, I hire stuff quite a lot for evening events,
Yeah.
don't I? I don't
Yeah, we've
actually.
done a lot of hiring over
Yeah,
the last
I
few
really
years.
like that. And so I invest in things that I really am going to wear every day. And the things that
Yeah.
I'm hardly going to wear, which actually isn't, I won't buy anything if I'm hardly going to wear it. I want it to work for all different occasions now. But my real bit of advice would be to stop spending all your money on stuff that you're wearing like 5% of your wardrobe. Invest in
Yeah.
the stuff that you're really going to wear every day.
I mean, you've had a great teacher. This is great advice. I love it, Fiona. Yes, yes. I was thinking about the evolution. It is amazing. Looking back, we've both been through and looked back at the archives of like the photos and of your style and who was inspiring you at which
Yeah.
time. And really, I wrote a little bit down about kind of the journey of what it needed to be over the last few years. 'Cause I think so often, you know, with the rise of stylists and people being able to go get your colors done, which I fully support, anything that's going to help you understand yourself better, I fully support. But for me, there's so much more to it than that. This idea of like understanding yourself and understanding what you love. And it's such a simple question, but it takes a lot of time to get to the answer.
Yeah.
But I think that first year for us was really about you starting to understand your proportions, you starting to get that practice of getting dressed every day, starting to explore what modernity was. Do you remember the first item in those, early days that made you, I don't know, feel like yourself or felt like a stretch at the time, perhaps? And when you put it on, you're like,
Really difficult to choose one. The first brand that we really sort of discovered that I hadn't ever heard of was Suzanne, which I know is sort
yeah,
of much better known now. But we ordered some things from there, and I really loved sort of like the pink and bright sort of
mm,
bright cobalt blue cardigan. Those I remember
yes,
being like, wow, this is the sort of stuff I want to be wearing.
yes,
So I
yes.
really, really like those, but I felt I could immediately wear them. I could see how I could wear them. I could immediately
Mhm.
wear them. The item that I really was like, oh my God, what am I doing owning these? Were the Isabel Marant boots that we bought. And I still love them. I wore them yesterday. They are a beautiful sort of burgundy suede. I love suede, although, as you know, I'm very cautious about buying because I hate it not looking perfect. So I'm cautious to ever buy a suede handbag, but I love it. Suede boots, burgundy, they're sort of slightly ruched. I got a bit of a cowboy feel to them, a really practical heel, so I can actually wear them rather than just have a great pair of boots I'm looking at in the wardrobe and never wear. I love them, and I felt they really pushed me. Whereas the two cardigans I
Mm.
could immediately put on and wear, and I could see. Whereas those, I remember being like, "How much am I spending on a pair of boots? Are you really sure this is a good idea?" They were
Well,
in the
and
sale, weren't they?
they were pre-loved, weren't they, or were they in the sale?
They were in the sale, and I just remember thinking, "God, I can't believe I'm spending this amount of money on a pair of boots, and am I ever
Were
gonna
they
wear."
the last pair? I
They
feel
were the
like there was
last pair in that
yeah, I
size,
think yeah.
and I've worn them so much. They still look brand new, and I love them, and they're brilliant. I can wear them on, on a business trip. I can wear them casually. I absolutely love them, but it really pushed me, and I feel some of the items that we've bought, I might have in the wardrobe a little bit before I start wearing them, and sometimes I really have to challenge myself, or I'll say to you, I love this, but I'm not quite sure. And lots of the pre-loved stuff I bought, I love. I think that was a whole new journey, just finding stuff pre-loved and how different
Well,
it is
that
shopping for pre-loved stuff.
Yeah, that kind because I was thinking the next year was very much then about, right, well, we've
Yeah.
got an understanding of you. We've kind of got you in that smart business casual, but not too dressy world. You're
Yeah.
functioning every day. The next year was then like, okay, well, who am I beyond? Because we were shopping in like, M&M, Cezanne, Mango, Zara. I'm trying to think where else. Maybe a bit in Mint Velvet at the beginning.
Maybe
That
a bit
kind of
in
didn't last.
Jigsaw,
Bit in
I would
Jigsaw,
say.
yes. I was
Yeah.
doing a lot of work with Jigsaw at the time, wasn't I there? And then it was kind of like, well, how do we start, especially because you're out with these, French women and like, what are the brands that they're engaging with that we could? And I think that's where pre-loved really became a way for you to build your confidence and that sense of ownership of I am the kind of person that can own
Yeah.
designer clothing.
Wow, I know, which I never thought I wouldn't ever have dreamt of doing that. I definitely would have thought that was frivolous when we first met and that wasn't
Yeah.
for me. And so what I love about it is that there's a number of things. I love the fact that the same price as what I can buy in a high street shop, I can get something that is so much better quality.
Mm.
So it's not just about the brand, it's about having something that's so much better quality. The cut is completely different, the colours, the
Mm.
tone of the colours, the depth
Yeah.
of the colours, and then fabrics that they're using, how long they last, how they wash. And the other things I love are that no one else can buy it. So I don't have someone saying to me, whereas I probably would have bought the majority of my things before we met in mint velvet, definitely on the high street, but very much mint velvet. Zara I still have always loved. And so anyone else could be wearing it like 3 times over if I'm on a
Yeah.
train or anywhere. And I love the fact that no one else is wearing it. Plus, I felt that when I first met you and very much again, in terms of thinking about what I should be wearing, another big thing is what was flattering. And still,
Mm.
if I go shopping with friends or other people, there's a lot of emphasis on that looks great on you. It's really flattering. And we seem to place so much importance on whether or not the items fit you. Why are we not buying anything that doesn't fit us? But anyway, and so whether or not it's flattering or not is so irrelevant. But I really felt with the pre-love stuff, I stopped looking at the size. I
Yeah.
wasn't then found by, well, this is my size. They only had it in the one. It either fit or not. And so I think I then started to play with proportion, which is I think the thing that we've really been looking at most recently. But I
Yeah.
perhaps then bought things that are much bigger than I would have bought, or just a size that perhaps wasn't what I was expecting. So I've loved all of those elements of it, and I feel they've injected. That's where I've been able to invest in things that are really different, rather than the staples that perhaps I would have got in like a Uniqlo MSR or whatever.
Mm. Mm.
And so I think I then started investing in pieces that were the sort of wow bit to the outfit. And I think where it's come on to now is that then I think actually I those staples, I also want to have that same wow, that sense of detail, like the jeans. Initially, when we first met, I remember buying a pair of jeans in Reiss that I loved and I wore to death. Um,
Yes, I remember them.
and whereas now I've spent money on more expensive jeans, haven't I? Like the M&M ones, and
Yeah.
more recently the Sports Mac ones that I bought. But you couldn't jump straight from that to where we are now. And so I think the
Yeah.
things that I've sort of most like now is thinking about, well, how can I some of those basics I absolutely still really love from the high street. But it's about where do I spend the money, and the pre-love stuff I just feel has been some of the best things I've invested in.
Yeah, and we're so lucky down here. We have obviously done quite a bit of shopping down at Rebound that I do a lot of filming at. Then we've also got Circle in Hazelmere, which is quite near to you. Wonderful Juliana, who's the one that said you need to start the Instagram.
I love her stuff. I found great things in both of those places.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really helped us to kind of explore different brands. And also for me to maybe want to, say, well, this is kind of the idea I've got for you. Try this on, even if the size is too small, it kind of helps us push forward into a new direction and allow us to play a bit.
Absolutely. And I think that's what the high street also does, as you sort of said before, is if you really like something and you can get it cheaper on the high street and try it, how much do you wear it? Is it something you really love? And then you can sort of upgrade and get
Yeah.
the version. I found that really, really helpful advice. So I think that's really good. And also thinking about the things I found online on Vinted and having a much clearer idea of, okay, well, I'm really looking for this and where can I find it? I do buy a lot of
Mm.
secondhand stuff online as well.
Yeah, yeah. And tell me a little bit about your journey with your style words. Where are you at right now with what are your words and how have they helped you or hindered you during this process?
They've 100% helped me. So I found the whole process of sort of finding what those words might be, and interestingly, they shift, and I often will look at them and question them and make sure that I still think they're working, and we look at that together. So rather than when I go shopping now thinking about what's flattering or what's good value, they would probably have been my two key things I would have been thinking before I met you. Is it flattering and is it good value? I was so conscious of those two things, and probably what the fabric is. I've never been a massive fan. Like, that's always been something that I've been keen on. But I think in terms of the style words, what it helped me where I couldn't work out, where am I going wrong? Why can't I achieve what I want to? It's because I wasn't that clear on what I was trying to achieve, and I don't think I was that clear on what I liked. And so the number one thing was really being very clear on what I do or don't like. So that I feel like I've got that. But the style words really helped me think, well, where I may have bought a piece where one item I really like, but how's it going to fit into my wardrobe and is it right? So by coming up and looking at the 3 style words, what I think really helps, even if I'm putting an outfit together, is thinking, well, which word is missing? What am I missing? So to begin with, or do you want me to the style words that I've got? So
Yeah,
they
tell us.
are polished, modern,
Mhm.
and striking.
Yeah.
And I feel each one of those is a really key element for me. If I don't look polished, but I've got the modern and the striking, it's just not going to work. I'm just not going to feel right. Polished is such a big element for me, and that needs to be fairly coordinated. I don't like lots of it being too busy or clashing.
I think that's your
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that definitely needs to have that sort of sense of femininity. The
Mhm.
modern is the one that I've more recently brought in. And because I think I felt that where I was before, it was just feeling a bit too safe and boring. So that's the word that I've most recently sort of brought in and really felt like we've leaned into in this last year. And the bit that I'm really enjoying, and the sort of very much more oversized, looking at the sort of shape and size of things. So that's the thing that's been really exciting. And then looking at those 2 words, so polished and modern, the third word that I've got at the moment is striking. So for me, it can't just be modern and polished. It's got to have that element of like, wow, that's different, that's impactful, that's something that someone's going to take notice of. So I'm going to walk into a meeting, I want someone to remember me. I want to stand out. I stand out very much in the way that I, do things, and my opinions, all of those sorts of things. I feel like I'm very individual in that way. And so therefore it's got to be striking. It's got to reflect that part of me, I think. I don't like being part of the crowd. I like that. I'm quite happy to dress very differently to everybody else. But that's taken a lot of time. And I certainly wasn't to begin with. I very much felt I had to fit in. At the
But I
beginning,
look back at the original words and I would say that they're still the same energies.
we've just changed the words.
Yeah, the original words were elegant, assured, and individual. Elegant and polished to me,
Yeah.
feel similar. Assured and modern feel the same because, to be assured in yourself means that you're doing your thing your way. You're stepping out, aren't you? You're not being in the crowd.
No,
And
exactly.
then the individual and striking again feels like, similar
Yeah.
energies. So I think the energies have always been there. This is what I say to people, but sometimes the words
Yeah.
mature.
And it takes time to all sink in,
It
it's
does.
such a change from how I was doing things before. It really, really takes time. And that's what was so interesting looking back at sort of the original work we did, some of the brands that you recommended and the things, and they are so relevant today as they were when we first started working together. And I thought that's so interesting, isn't it? So I've come such a long way, yet
Yeah.
the advice that you've given, you were able to give me right from that initial meeting. You got me, you saw me right from and what I was trying to achieve straight away. It's been a massive journey for me, but you saw that and grasped that straight away.
But what's been fascinating this year is that, I felt like I was kind of, for the last few years, I've been pulling you along, going, no, let's go, let's do this. Well, let's take it here, let's take it there. And then suddenly this year, I feel like you've kind of gone, oh no, we're going bigger, we're going here. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm coming. So I think that that's been really fascinating for me, that journey of your confidence and seeing, actually, no, I want to go a bit oversized. Actually, I want to go a bit more daring. Oh, actually, I want to have even more visual impact or be a bit more, not
Yeah,
quirky is not the right word for you, but it always has to have a little touch of the
yeah,
unexpected, the striking
yeah.
energy.
I agree. I think, I remember some of the things that you suggested I try at the start and being like, oh God, really? I'm not sure about a gold shoe or whatever it was that we were trying.
Yeah.
And now I agree. I think I'm really like, oh, let's push it. I'm a bit more playful with it. I'm not so scared of making a mistake. I think I was so worried about that at the beginning and it not
Yeah.
working. I think because that whole energy of how frustrating it is when you're trying to get dressed for an event and everything you pull on doesn't feel right. And the one thing that I don't think we've talked about is how important the feeling is, how important it is of how you feel in the clothes. And so
Yeah.
I feel that horrible sense of feeling like you've got a wardrobe full of clothes, you feel like you put a lot of energy into this and you're still not getting the result. It's so demoralizing. So I was so scared to have that. Once I'd seen how great it was when you helped me do it, and I was like, oh, great, I want that feeling and I don't want to give it up. And I'm too scared to try anything in case that feeling goes away again and I go back to my old self. I feel now I'm so much more confident. And lovely things that you helped me do as I was so unsure about taking a photograph of myself in front of the mirror. I found that a really big, like, well, I'm really not sure I can do this. Just feels very self-indulgent and like vain. I really wasn't sure about it. Anyway, once I'd got over that initial awfulness, and what it made me realize is that I could look at myself so much less critically, and that horrible feeling of I can't try anything on, this outfit's not working. I could take 5 different options, step back, even come away from the room, go and sit down on the sofa, have a look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely the best. Like you can look at it so differently. I don't think you're necessarily looking at your figure. Often I do it without any hair or makeup, don't I? Like it's just
Yeah.
actually, what do the clothes look like? What's missing? And I was thinking like, oh yeah, wow, that looks cool. I just need to put that belt with it or whatever it is. So I found like taking the photos really helped me to step back and do that better. And I think that sort of initial feeling of wanting to make sure that it was right, and your advice of when you get an outfit that you like, you take a photo and you perhaps create a folder on your phone. So I used to do it for my work trips. I still do now. Let's say your top 5 work from home outfits or your top 5 outfits for this or that. So when you're in that moment of absolute nothing fits, nothing works, nothing, you go back and you find the photo or the season changes. And I look back and I was like, what was my favorite winter outfit last year? And I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. And I can put it back on and somehow sort of get back into it. And having that, when we all have those moments, I still have them of like, I don't know what to wear. To be able to go back and have a look at an outfit that really works that you know you loved, that is really reassuring. Yeah, so that was one of the things that I found really helpful.
Final question, because the time has gone so quickly. But if you lost your wardrobe, what 5 items do you think you would rebuy? And this is maybe helpful for people who, obviously this is very specific to you, Fiona, but like
Yeah.
people maybe who can't afford to work with me or, want that stylist help, but maybe this will give them an idea of where they could begin. What would be the 5 pieces, do you think?
Okay, there'd have to be a pair of jeans
It does
because
have to
I
be.
live in jeans. I love them. I would go for the Sports Max big oversized jeans.
Yeah.
I'd also go for a trainer because I do wear trainers a
Mhm.
lot. So I'd go for my Skechers trainers, the white ones,
Yeah.
the first item we ever bought together.
Yeah.
Looked at loads more really expensive ones, designer ones. I just love them. They're great. I chuck them in the washing machine. I really like them. I'd probably go for them. And then I would go for, I do find this really difficult. I'd
What
go
about a piece of
Yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, I love knitwear, as you know. I'd
yeah.
probably go for my Garni bright sort of peachy pinky big jumper, which I got pre-loved with Juliana. I love that, and I can wear that for sort of pretty much anything. I really love it. It's really striking. Yeah, I love it. So I'd go for a piece of knitwear. I'd probably go for my wide leg pink M trousers. I've
Yeah,
worn them a lot.
you have.
Am I up to 4? Is that 4?
Yeah, that's 4.
Wait, one's got to be the Max Mara bomber jacket.
I know, I know.
That's the Max Mara weekend jacket that we bought that's camel and it
Yeah.
goes everything and I love it. The modernity, the casualness of it. I never would have spent that much money on a casual jacket when we started. We thought that would have just been
Mm.
ridiculous. But I really love the whole index app, which I know we haven't got time to go into, but talking about sort of cost of use and actually bearing in mind how often I wear it. And I think if
Mm.
you had an item that's very expensive or less expensive than that you wear very infrequently versus spending a lot of money on something but virtually wearing it every day, actually your cost per use is lower. So I
Yeah.
sort of feel that I want to invest in my everyday items, and those are
Yeah.
all things that I would wear, mix and match in every day.
Fantastic. I would agree with all of that. I think Yeah, they're the pieces, and you want to be able to choose jewelry and stuff as well, which I know has become a big
Yeah.
part of what of you adding in your personality. But I just have to say, it's been such an honor working with you. I have deep admiration for what you do, for your ambition, and I'm so glad that I could be a small part of it. And we wouldn't have had this success if you hadn't put the level of like work and passion and interest and questioning and like curiosity into all of this. So I think we make a great team, and it's really exciting to see where these clothes are now taking you and the success you're having in your business and life.
Oh, so much. It's been a pleasure. As you know, I love working with you. So yeah, it's been absolutely great. And if anyone wants to have a look at my new Instagram post, is
Yes, share where people can find you, with Instagram, but also
yeah, wants
professionally.
to have a look. So it's fee.wears on Instagram. And then in terms of the business, I help people buy second homes abroad, mostly in France. So if anyone wants to have a look at that, it's at internationalprivatefinance.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fiona.
Oh, thanks for that.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. We want to spread the word far and wide. So can you share this or send this episode on to a friend? Or perhaps you would like to check out some of the other episodes that we have recorded recently. I have done some fantastic ones about body shape with Anna Barkley. I spoke recently with the founder of a huge fashion brand Armand in America, who has recently become a medium about the link between spirituality and style. I have also had the privilege of speaking with Anna Cascarina about how to unlock your forever wardrobe. So whatever you're struggling with, we are developing a really great selection of episodes for you. So do go back into the archive and find something else you might love. If you have any other suggestions on who we should interview next, then do get in touch and let us know. I'll put the email address in the show notes. And also, you can find me on Instagram at lulustory_stylist. You can also find me on Substack, where we have a whole host of amazing ways of supporting you, whether that's our monthly Q&A with how to maximize your wardrobe, or our seasonal workshops to help you transition into the season. I'm always here to support you on your style journey in life and becoming the woman that you know is within. So please get in touch in all those places. And if I can be of help to you and your style, then do not hesitate. Your time is now.